Welcome to today's video on the 1% home maintenance myth and why relying on your emergency fund alone can be dangerously inadequate. We'll explore the controversy around keeping a separate repair fund versus using a flexible emergency fund, show why the 1% rule often fails for big-ticket repairs, and walk through a practical plan to inventory your home systems, build a dedicated major repairs fund, and use a HELOC as a safety net. Let's begin. Here's our roadmap. First, we'll bust the 1% rule. Next, we'll compare using a flexible emergency fund versus a separate major repairs fund. Then, we'll plan around realistic costs and timelines. After that, we'll discuss the HELOC as a powerful safety net. We'll follow with a step-by-step setup you can implement this week, test your knowledge with a couple of short quizzes, and close with key takeaways. The 1% rule suggests you save 1% of your home's value each year for maintenance. On a $400,000 home, that's $4,000. However, while that might cover a minor fix like a water heater, it often fails when faced with a roof replacement or an HVAC system failure costing well into 5 figures. Therefore, we need a more robust framework. The 1% rule struggles because big-ticket items dwarf that allocation. $4,000 on a $400,000 home won't cover a roof or full HVAC replacement. Risk also escalates with age. Multiple systems can approach end of life at the same time. Consequently, underfunded homeowners may be forced to liquidate investments in a downturn or take on high-interest debt. This is why we need a dedicated major repair strategy that accounts for actual component lifespans and costs. Let's compare two popular strategies. On the left, a flexible emergency fund approach. You hold 6 to 8 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account, cover sudden repairs from that fund, and then replenish it. It's simple and keeps your cash liquid. However, it can underprepare you for multiple large repairs happening close together. On the right, a separate major repairs fund adds a dedicated $10,000 to $20,000 on top of your living expense emergency fund. This approach is driven by a system inventory and drastically reduces the risk of tapping investments or taking on high-interest debt. It does, however, require discipline and managing more account buckets. Before we go further, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes only and not financial, legal, or tax advice. Every home and financial situation is different. Consult licensed professionals for advice tailored to your property, market, and credit profile. Also, lines of credit secured by your home carry risk, so use them prudently. Here is your step-by-step plan. First, inventory the big systems: roof, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, water heater, windows, exterior finishes, and major appliances. Second, document each item's current age and typical lifespan. Third, estimate replacement windows, grouping items into near-term, mid-term, and long-term. Fourth, gather realistic cost ranges by obtaining 2 to 3 local quotes or using credible cost data sources. Fifth, set your major repairs fund target, commonly $10,000 to $20,000 in addition to your emergency fund. Sixth, automate contributions monthly so the fund reaches its target before the earliest big-ticket replacement window arrives. Finally, review annually or after inspections and adjust as components age or as prices change. This table outlines common big-ticket items, their average lifespans, and typical replacement costs. Roofs often last 20 to 30 years and can run from $12,000 to $25,000 or more, depending on size and materials. HVAC systems, with furnaces lasting 15 to 20 years and air conditioners 10 to 15 years, frequently cost $10,000 to $20,000 to replace. Water heaters average 8 to 12 years and usually cost $1,000 to $2,500. Sewer lines, when they fail, can be extremely expensive. Electrical panels, windows, exterior finishes, and full appliance sets also add up. The risk flags indicate how likely each is to create a sudden, significant financial event. A home equity line of credit acts as a standby safety net. If you keep it open and unused, there is usually no interest cost until you draw. In the event of a large, urgent repair, you can draw on the line, complete the repair, and then repay the balance aggressively. It's wise to apply for a HELOC while your income, credit profile, and home equity are favorable, rather than waiting until after a problem appears, when qualifications may be more difficult. Here is a decision flow. If no major repair occurs, continue routine maintenance. If a major repair does occur, first check whether your major repairs fund can cover it. If yes, pay from that bucket. If not, assess whether a HELOC is available. If you have one, use it to fund the repair and then down pay the balance quickly. If you do not have HELOC, tap your emergency fund and consider low-cost financing options such as a promotional 0% loan to bridge timing. Regardless of the path, create a plan to replenish funds within 6 to 12 months. This timeline illustrates how to stage your plan over a decade. At the start, you establish your emergency fund and begin your major repairs fund. In year 1, schedule a water heater inspection. In year 2, a roof inspection. And in year 3, perform HVAC service while increasing savings toward replacement. Subsequent years include window seal checks and exterior repaint cycles. Around years 6 to 7, be prepared for HVAC or roof replacement depending on inspection outcomes. From years 8 to 10, replenish funds and reassess lifespans as real-world wear and inspections update your assumptions. Here is a quick Markdown-style checklist to internalize targets. The recommended buffer combines a 6 to 8 month emergency fund plus a $10,000 to $20,000 major repairs fund. Prioritize near-term risks, starting with roof and HVAC, then plumbing, electrical, and appliances. Maintain a consistent inspection cadence. Roof annually, HVAC twice per year, plumbing as issues arise, and exterior on a 2 to 3 year cycle. Each year, rebalance your targets by accounting for inflation and changes in local labor and material costs. Quiz time. The question: your $400,000 home needs an $18,000 HVAC replacement next month. Which play is most resilient long-term? Option A: rely on the 1% rule and delay the job. Option B: tap the emergency fund only and postpone replenishment. Option C: use the major repairs fund first. If short, draw the HELOC, then repay quickly. Option D: put it on a high-interest credit card and deal with it later. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. Use your major repairs fund first. If that is insufficient, draw on your HELOC to cover the remainder, and then prioritize repayment. This approach preserves your emergency fund for living expenses and avoids taking on high-interest credit card debt. Second quiz. The question: how much extra cash should many homeowners target beyond their living expense emergency fund? Option A: $1,000 to $2,000. Option B: $10,000 to $20,000. Option C: exactly 1% of home value. Option D: no extra, because the emergency fund always covers it. You may pause the video now to consider your answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. A dedicated major repairs fund of $10,000 to $20,000 on top of your emergency fund provides a buffer against big-ticket repairs, so you are less likely to liquidate investments or take on high-interest debt. Here are the key takeaways. First, the 1% rule is only a starting point and not a complete safety plan. Second, inventory your systems, track lifespans, and price realistic replacement costs. Third, protect your emergency fund for living expenses and maintain a separate major repairs fund of $10,000 to $20,000. Fourth, secure a HELOC as a safety net and plan to repay quickly after use. Finally, automate contributions and reassess annually based on inspections and market prices. To wrap up, reject simplistic rules and replace them with data-driven planning. Aim for a 6 to 8 month emergency fund plus a $10,000 to $20,000 major repairs fund. Secure a HELOC while your income, credit, and equity are strong. Automate contributions, schedule inspections, and adjust your targets each year. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you plan for real-world home repairs, please like the video, share it with a new homeowner, and subscribe for more content on building resilient finances. Drop your questions, local cost experiences, or HELOC tips in the comments. Your insights could save someone thousands.